pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Okay. We have a new member today. We got a new sucker. No, a new member. Mr. Coger. Jim Coger's our new member. I think you know everybody here. You know Randy. You know Mr. Hallman, Cece. You know this guy. So.
What's your name?
He's not saying.
Okay. Want to do minutes approval right now? We have a motion to approve the meetings from 8/7/2013. Everybody had a chance to look at those before?
I don't know if it'd be appropriate for me to vote on that or not. I read them, but I wasn't here for any discussion.
It's up to
I'll
you.
just abstain.
You want to abstain?
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the August 7th, 2013 authority meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. We have all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have abstain. Visitors.
First one up is Bob Johnson.
Bob Johnson.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Johnson's going to keep his mouth shut. Todd Wilson. And second is Todd Wilson from Alpha Engineering.
Thanks. Good evening. Todd Wilson from Alpha Engineering. This is John Cervantes from Fishing Creek Valley Associates. You got to excuse me tonight. I'm kind of losing my voice. I'm having allergy problems. Just as a follow, we haven't been here in a while, and as a follow-up from some items brought up at the Planning Commission meeting, and based on a meeting that we had with a few members of the board and your engineer, I just wanted to bring you to update on a few items. I don't know if you have copies of the revised plans that we submitted earlier this month. We did took off the on-lot wells and added the water.
Okay. That's the review letter you sent us.
Yeah, you had given us the plans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read their letters or his review. I don't know if the rest of you, did the rest of you see his review? You didn't? Okay.
I did get a copy from Randy, and we don't take any exception. We realize that there's a couple items there we have to address. He added some items because, like I was saying, we added the water, extended the water,
Right.
removed the wells.
But there was no plans for the water. I mean, right?
There were on the plan and profiles did show the water system, but they were really conceptual in nature. They
I would
need
agree.
to be developed in more detail to show locations of
Valves
and fittings and so forth. And then there needs to be a considerable amount of work of adding details that are compliant or to meet the standards that you have developed in your developer specification for water systems. So that information needs to be put on the drawings.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can take care of that
Yeah.
for the next meeting. The sewer and most of this comes up from the meeting we had last week. There's a few items, and from the Planning Commission meeting. One item was in an effort to, in one of the conditions for approval of the preliminary plan is to obtain or reserve the necessary EDUs for the project. There's 73 units, including the existing house, up on the hill there along 849. What we were requesting of the board is to sign off on the fact that there is adequate capacity within the conveyance lines from the point we're tying into at Butcher Shop Road down into Duncannon. Excuse me. And that's part of the DEP planning module exemption process, something that we would need a sign off to move forward with DEP. Okay, I don't know if you'd like to discuss that. I don't know what your typical procedure is with,
Well,
with
basically, I think what we do is make sure there's reserve capacity in the treatment plant.
Okay.
And then capacity in the lines taking it to the treatment plant.
Okay.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, is there a DEP mailer that goes along with that?
It's a planning module
I
that
did
goes.
give you a copy of the mailer.
Yeah.
You know, usually with that copy of that mailer, whenever we get that, then we work off of that, because we have to see Duncan and Borough as well as us. We have the capacity in our transmission lines. The question is, do they have the capacity in their treatment facility?
And I did talk to their engineer 2 days ago, forwarded him a copy of the mailer and the certification form. So he's looking into that on his end. Again, I gave you last week, Randy, that form. I don't know what.
I think you
need
might
to
have
do.
given it to Bill. I don't have that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
So you've already contacted Duncan, right?
Yes.
Okay. And, okay.
I wasn't sure who to give it to. Normally, I mean, every township is different. I was
Yeah.
giving it to Helen
Well, I
initially.
think, Ron Brown's our engineer, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
He is. I talked to, Bill, can't remember his last name off the top of my head.
Korsnitz.
I don't know.
I don't think that was it, but it's a short last name.
Okay.
But I did forward that information for him for review. So, I don't know when, certainly don't expect it tonight, but I don't know if that required a vote from the board, or is that something that's just handled on a staff level, or maybe for next month, if possible.
Yeah, I think it's typically the staff. I don't think you've usually voted on it.
Usually we send a letter to the planning commission.
Yeah. Okay.
And what we'd like to do is pursue purchasing the EDUs for the first phase and reserving the EDUs for the remaining phases, like we
We
discussed.
talked about in that meeting.
Yeah.
And it would be about, like, what, 20, how many would there be?
First,
25?
off the top of my head, around 25.
25. Okay, any discussion on the? We did ask that you take a look at making some of those inaccessible clean outs.
Yes. I brought this along. I
Accessible
don't know
or-
if you probably can't even see it.
Before the authority would take over anything like that, we would want, you know,
And there's a dilemma with that.
there is a
Yeah,
dilemma.
and it goes, again, back to the steep slopes. I talked to the zoning officer. His interpretation is even to lay stone down or shale down on those slopes, because you can see, I delineated the slopes on the plan. This is the sewer line, proposed sewer line. I mean, we would be able to, where the areas that don't contain the hatching, we'd be able to provide those accesses, you know, in between manholes. The problem is, again, he's considering laying the stone down, because you'd have to do some grading and prep
So
work.
in other words, providing the access would also be a prohibitive
Mhm.
use.
As you can see, we can't, you're not gonna be able to access every manhole, and you won't be able to access from either end.
Well, is there another way that we can make them more accessible? What other way could, you know?
The only other way we can do this, Elmer, is keep it as a private, put a flow meter down at the bottom, and then we monitor it right at our inlet, and it's their responsibility.
That's a good point. I have a concern, because we are on
We do a scheduled flushing system,
Mhm.
and that's how I explained to them the other
and
day.
if I can't get to the manholes,
Still
or
see this.
if the flushing trucks can't get to the manholes, it's gonna make it very, very difficult to flush them. And we can only flush, I'm gonna say, 200 to 250 feet in one direction, so
Is that what it is?
roughly. So that's considerably more than that going down through there. And then that all depends on how much dragage you have on the hose going up through there too, so you might not even get that distance out of it.
The
That's
primary.
the only thing that concerns me, Todd, about not having the access to that, is the fact that we're gonna have to maintain it and clean it.
The primary issue is here. Because once you get in beyond these first couple runs. I mean, even if we can't put stone right, I mean, we can stop here, there's a little pocket, steep slopes, you can see, we can get to most of them. That's the issue, because this is owned by,
That's the lower end of it, isn't it?
yeah.
Well, I guess we have an issue that needs to be resolved before we'll take, I mean, I don't know what the rest of the authority, how the rest of the authority feels, but, we don't want a line there that's gonna cause us problems.
I feel that the situations that we have throughout our systems already, we need to be readily serviceable with it before we'd even entertain taking anything over of it. It's like I said before.
What are you suggesting? Are you treating that the same as a very long 8-inch lateral?
Put a flow meter down to monitor it. That way we have any issues.
Okay.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm just thinking out loud here, do we maintain the sanitary system within the development?
No, it would be all theirs.
It's all theirs.
Homeowner association can have it.
I don't think that's a good idea.
How do you take care of a problem regardless of whose responsibility it is? I mean, if you can't access it.
That's right.
Well, we're not gonna service the grinder pumps anyhow.
No, but I'm saying how, even if we would,
Yeah, but that
Let
sewer
them-
line, if it's not being maintained, could affect the lines on down,
yeah.
I think.
All we gotta do is put a flow meter on it and
Yeah,
guarantee.
but how are they gonna, if you're gonna, you know, we have a system where we flush the
We
lines out.
flush it
They
at
may
the-
not be able to do that
We flush it
properly.
at a point of connection, and it's their problem if they get blockages in it.
Well, I'm not sure,
It's a it's no different than a lot of other situations. It's a private system. Tapped into ours. They're responsible for it. It's just like you said, Sam, it's an 8-inch line.
I don't think it's a good idea.
It's just like
But
what
that's
we do
something
with
the board will have to
Duncannon. We put a flow meter on to monitor our flow, so they have control of knowing what we dump in. We put a flow meter on it, so we know that there's any I&I or any issues with it, they need to correct it.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying, and I'm sitting here in this position, I'm trying to be a little bit understanding of what's going on out there.
I
It's
mean-
gonna be very difficult for them to sell a lot out there if they have to maintain the roads and the.
Well, my concern is they're also putting an HDPE in on the boring lines, which is gonna be smaller than the other side, and there's no guarantee it's gonna have contoured slope. Now, they'll have to pull a deflection device in and stuff, but it's gonna go like this, all the way down through,
It's true.
okay? So with an HDPE line, this is something new. I've expressed my concerns about that too.
I didn't know they could pull an 8-inch HDPE.
Well, it's not gonna be 8-inch, because the wall thickness of it's gonna make it smaller. It's gonna be considered 8-inch, but the wall thickness is gonna be smaller, so it's probably gonna be about 6.5 to 7 on the ID.
Depends on yeah, it could be, depends on the pipe.
But it's still gonna be, they've already recognized that it's gonna be smaller than the SDR.
I think that's right.
But it's gonna have pitch in it, and the theory behind it is with the extra pitch, it's going downhill like that.
What about a larger size of polyethylene? 10, they make a 10.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Whatever would be the next size up from an 8-inch SDR.
right.
I mean, that's,
I mean, my concerns is, like they said, if we can't maintain it, well then, it's not one of them things that I feel won't be interested in taking over. I realize your concerns about it, but, needs to be accessible. Need to have a way of flushing it. We have a operational protocol that we run by now, and it's been very successful for us for how many years now, Sam?
Since I've been sitting here, a long time, maybe too long.
Well, I don't know, this is gonna be a.
you have to get in from both, you have to get in, absolutely have to get in from both ends.
Well, you gotta surface manholes wherever they're gonna be
But I'm
at.
saying if we can get you in around here, I mean, we're approaching within the well area, but I don't see why Stone Road would affect it. once you get in here, I can get down and get a road down through in here.
As long as there's access to the manholes that we can have a flush truck get to them, right, Sam?
Pretty much, I can, you know, we can, I have flushed, I have worked with, trucks that have flushed in both directions, you know what I mean? As long as we can get to it, we can get a hose in the, in the entire length of the line, I don't see I really don't see that big a problem with it.
And we should be able to get down.
I mean, we can come in from the top and flush down, and we can, you know, pull it back.
John was just looking, this is one run. You could probably get to this end at this manhole and might be able to get to this one. It's this line that I can't put anything, I can't show a road through it.
I mean, I need to take it easy and walk up through here, I just can't, you know, it's hard to believe it, that's that. We discussed that the other night, and they said they don't have a problem with us walking up through there.
We ought to do that someday. See what we can-
But,
Well, wake hunting season, we can shoot all that.
Well, there's bear out there, I can tell you, coming into this neighborhood. Well,
How wide of an access would you think you would need?
What's the
That was a
is
question.
that a tandem axle truck or a single axle truck?
Tandem.
Tandem? So you're looking at a
There's a pretty good sized truck.
tandem axle dump truck? You know
No,
what I'm
it's
saying?
a tank truck.
Tank truck, but
big
same,
tank truck.
same situation, same principle, same weight capacities, everything else.
It's wider than 10 feet then.
Huh?
It's wider than 10 feet then. Is
Yeah,
that-
I'd say closer to 16 to 20 maybe.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, with the turns and stuff in it, straight, yeah, you get narrower, but the turns are where you're gonna get it. Tandem axle, tri-axle, they're pretty much the same units, there ain't much difference with them.
Well, I'd like to see us work something out if we can, because I don't really believe we should turn something like that over to a bunch of folks that live there, tell you the truth.
Can I ask a question? It might be a question for Mr. Chateau. Do you need to vote on accepting them now? Because normally you don't accept them until after they're built and
Big question
tested
for you.
and inspected.
What's that?
Here's a question for you.
One of the comments, and I know it's been discussed at prior meetings, is that the board has to make a decision to accept, not accept the sewer line. My question is that necessary for approval of the plans? Because normally you don't accept the sewer until they're actually built and tested and inspected.
Yeah, that's true. The actual, the final decision would be delayed. I'm trying to think though.
The other thing I got concerned
Right.
about is if we take it over, then we have all these expenses with no income coming off of it, when you only got 1 or 2 units in it. Maybe we need to take it over after phase 1 is completed, because you're probably gonna be doing it in phases, which we had discussed. You know what I'm saying? And if you do it take it over at the end of phase 1,
I'm not so concerned about when we take it over, is what can we take it over?
Yeah, you ask a good question, all right? Yeah, and ask another one back. Why would you want to spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to put it in down here, taking a chance, and then at the end of all that, we don't take it over?
Well, I mean, I have to go back. We have to go back and
Yeah, I understand.
take a look at that.
All right.
I can't make an answer on that. I mean, it is a good question.
I mean, it seems to me that before the project gets underway, it should be determined, I mean, who's gonna have these systems. Because, you know, if it's gonna be a municipal system, there's gonna be bonding, et cetera, to protect the authority, and, you know, we would be able to get it where it needs to be at the point where we'd be ready to accept it. I just don't know how you can proceed unless we know where we're headed here at the end of it. Is it going to be an issue with DEP for that to be all private?
don't know the answer to that right now. I wouldn't think, but I don't know.
As long as there's treatment.
As long as it's
capacity
maintained, yeah.
somewhere, okay. You think with an association having responsibility to maintain it, there wouldn't be an issue with?
It would kind of be the same situation as the roads, to me. The roads and the drainage that we're dealing with with the board.
So if somebody goes in and buys a house, they're gonna have some kind of agreement that's gonna say they're gonna be responsible for the roads, and the sewer, or the water, or
Homeowners,
this and that?
That's correct.
Are they crazy enough to buy a lot there then?
I would.
I don't think I would.
I just see the sewer as a little different because, roads are one thing for maintenance and so forth, but if that sewage can't get where it needs to go to be treated for whatever reason, that's a different kind of a problem. I don't know, I'm just.
No, I understand.
Todd, how far down from your development, how far down?
About 2,000 feet.
Pretty good run. That's a long haul.
And how far do you think you can get a 16-foot road down through there?
Well, that's the problem, you can't put a road down there, right?
16 feet's pretty wide.
The right-of-way width is 30?
Yeah, it's 30, but the issue is the steep slopes, the gravel.
I'm just wondering how you're gonna weed through there.
That's it.
I mean, you guys are gonna have a temporary road going in there, no matter how you got it, similar to what we're kinda asking, because you got all that stone and stuff to haul in there.
Well, they gotta install
You're
it.
gonna have 1Bs all over the place, so you're gonna have to bring in a triaxle. So, I realize that's a temporary right of way to get your infrastructure in, I understand that, and then it kinda goes away. But I mean, you're gonna be in there with the type of equipment
Shadows on this
we're
side?
trying to address in the future too, so.
I understand, I mean, if you're, in interpretation, we can put not the prohibitive, but the precautionary slopes. We can construct the lines, which I agree with the interpretation.
How close do they need to?
Just when we restore it,
Henry's got a question.
How close do they need to be the manholes to start flushing?
They're usually right on top of the manhole whenever they run that.
Okay, that's what I kinda thought, I mean,
It's not like,
and we generally flush these, we'll be through the cycle with every 5 years? Yep. So every 5 to 6 years, we're gonna be doing this.
and if we find out it's problematic down through there, we probably be even doing it on a more frequent basis to keep it, just to keep it flowing.
we did go back and increase the slopes too, per what we
I
discussed.
understand, and
Actually, think we're helpful.
Todd, did you think of looking out, going out the other end?
I don't think there's capacity. Because initially we went down 849, there wasn't capacity. I mean, this was the only connection point that had capacity.
that's probably gonna change within the next 3 to 4 years.
Not within the next year.
If you wanna pay for it, we'll let it do it next year, that's not a problem.
That's right, we're putting new
I
lines
mean,
down through there.
Yeah, we're taking 10-inch line, or 8-inch lines out and put 10-inch lines in down Market Street, so that's gonna
We're
give us
upgrading that
more.
all the way to the upper end of the street, I mean,
There will be capacity eventually.
it's gonna be watertight, that's all being replaced up there, we're probably not quite, I think a good 50%,
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
somewhere close. And we've discussed trying to maybe do it all in one more shot, but I won't guarantee.
Where, in the general vicinity down here, is that where you mean?
That would take you all the way up,
Sunshine
all
Hill?
the way up Market Street to 849.
Okay. Yeah, that was the bad area, I think, as I recall from.
I mean, the only thing you'd have to do is put pumps on each one of them, pump everything up over the hill, to get out through 849. You know, right now, you're looking at gravity, but I don't know whether.
Well, we have some grinders on the other end.
Yeah, probably be the same thing.
Let me take a closer look at the roads.
I mean,
That's about all I can do. I mean,
I'll have to see if I can't get a chance to walk up to there next week. Won't be on the weekend, but I'll see if I can't get a chance to go down. I mean, I understand what you're trying to do with the slopes and trying to get a gravity flow system, and that's the least, that's the simplest one, keep gravity flow. You know, least amount of work on them, but we'd also have a maintenance program for them where.
Okay, I guess you know what our concerns are, so.
I did want to pass out, because I remember in the past and last week you asked for something. We didn't get answers to all your questions regarding the boring. This is specific to boring, where we located some specs. That's for horizontal direction drilling. If you'd like to, I mean, again, we'll follow up with some more information. Specifically, I know you had a question on the deflection angle of the bore itself, which we weren't able to get that information. Yeah. Just enough copies. At least it's something you can take a look at. I mean,
We probably don't have nothing in our rules and regs at the present moment to permit HDPE in a gravity flow system.
What are you calling it?
HDPE.
High density.
HDPE.
Yeah, HDPE, high
Right
density
now, our
polyethylene.
rules and our specifications do not have that.
I don't know.
Am I correct, Sam?
I don't.
I think everything's.
I don't think it's there.
I think everything's SDR. Everything's SDR, even right up
It
to the
is.
house now. You change that to the house too, instead of cellular core and PVC
Yep.
to the point of connection.
So, Henry, if we were to go ahead and do the SDR, the style that you can fuse together, that would be acceptable? I believe some of the literature I could read, like the C900,
They have a Fusion SDR. I mean,
That would be preferred, I think.
I think we have a specific spec for what type of SDR. It's SDR 35. Am I correct at the present moment? I'm pretty sure in our specs it is SDR 35. If you're going to do something else, then we're going to have to grant that. Okay. Like I said, I don't know. You're talking new to me. I mean, I'm willing to listen. I mean, as far as being sold on it, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to see a system. I'd like to know where it's put in at. I'd like to talk to some people maybe, you know, I don't know. You're talking something new. I realize it needs to be fused and pulled, whatever you're gonna do. I realize that. Unless you sleeve it and then push belt all the way up through. That's the only other option you got. And then you can use SDR all the way through. Which is direct line, you know what I'm saying? And then you gotta sleeve everything, and then it's serviceable and to be taken apart and everything else, you know, so.
then we're still back to the access thing.
The access thing is still a major issue, but like I said, our rules and regs, our specifications, we do not have anything that's present moment permissible. So, kinda gotta sell it to us before we're willing to accept it too, you know? I mean, even our engineer questioned HDPE at our little discussion meeting there and stuff. I mean, I'm not saying that there's anything right or wrong with it, because we use it for low pressure. But you're changing the ability to guarantee a consistent slope for flow. That's a concern I have, but if the pitch is dramatic, it kind of could waver up through too. I understand that. It will push itself downhill with enough pitch, I agree. So basically, we need, it's, like I said, it's new, we need to be,
And not only the distance that we're looking at, I have a concern on some of the depth of some of those manholes that's along through there. You know, just getting in them, the depth there. Well,
The
there's
deepest
on-
one is the existing one, tying into the flow channel.
The one was, what, 15 was the deepest one you said?
I don't know if it was quite that.
I thought there was one that was 20-some feet.
I don't think, oh, I don't know, that's, I think he
Unless they
said,
changed that.
The pipe itself might be 20 feet, but the manholes themselves are shallow.
I think you told us that the mean and deepest one was 15.
Yeah, it's- yeah.
If that's the case, then we can live with that.
That was the existing manhole down at the
If that's
bottom.
the case, then we can live
Yeah,
with 15
you're
feet.
looking at, here's one that's 10, there's one that's 11 on this page. No, they're actually not that bad.
Okay.
So the depth isn't a problem, it's just moving to them.
No.
So we got a problem with getting to them, and we got a problem with the material, that's what I'm hearing from the members?
I mean, as far as our specifications, I mean, you're gonna have to ask for something different, and
Yeah.
basically you need to sell it to us if we're gonna grant it.
We haven't been known to do that.
I mean, I'm not saying that I won't entertain on my behalf, I won't tell you I won't, you know, but I need to understand it, feel comfortable with it. And that's the other reason that I think maybe it would be beneficial to take it over after there's, say, 10 units on it or something like that, so there is a revenue coming off of it, that we can afford to take care of the maintenance on it, because up to that point, it becomes nothing but a financial burden to the ratepayer. And that could be, depends on how the growth and build out is on that, that could end up being 5 years, 10 years down the road, we could end up flushing this 1 or 2 different times before we get.
That's another point you got there too. If there's not a whole lot of water going down through there, it's not gonna carry a lot.
I mean, I know everybody says, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna build it, and we're gonna do all of it, and it's gonna happen, boom. But I'm a realist, and I understand that it may take 15, 20 years to do what everybody thinks is gonna be a 5-year build out. Or it could be faster. I mean, it could happen overnight too, I don't know. I mean, economy could change and it could go through the roof. I mean, I've seen it. I mean, it's not uncommon for you guys to build something like this out pretty much in a year's time, right?
Well, as far as flushing, and I'm sorry, is it $1 a foot cost?
Sam, you know.
Or something, I think.
$4 a foot?
Something like that. I'd have to go back and Todd, let me check that out. I'll get back to you tomorrow or sometime. Find out what the last bid was that we got on it. Okay?
Appreciate it, thanks.
Okay, is there anything else?
I think that was it, that we
Okay,
discussed at least previously.
okay.
We just have to take
Well, I think
a closer look with the access.
Help us with some of those concerns, why, you know.
I mean, even the SDR that you were saying is fusion, I'm assuming it's gonna be more rigid than the HDPE. It's gonna go with segmented lengths and like that. Instead of bell and spigot, you'll end up fusing it and pulling it, fusing it and pulling it. And that's the way I would see that. And that would have a tendency to keep it more, well, of course, I don't know how the board gets it. I mean, it can obstruct too much, so.
Well, I mean, I think this is a good meeting, what we need to do is get you a little more information to help satisfy folks, so no, this is no problem.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, we have, who's next?
John Mellum.
John,
Well, good evening.
hi.
Good evening. I won't take much of your time tonight. I just, I
feeling
have,
well?
huh?
You feeling well?
Who?
You.
Why?
Well, you say you're not gonna take much of our time, but you usually like to talk to us.
No, I don't. Like my guns before I start. All right. All I have tonight, I have a couple of things. These are Morrison's submittals. We'd like to, Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
John Mellon, nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Nice to meet you, just easy on my
Oh,
operation,
yes,
that's all.
Okay.
I have some submittals from Monarch for the manholes and all that. It's pretty routine stuff, but Rock would like your approval of these submittals. I've got several copies. I don't know how many you folks would like. And also, we would like to request, another submittal I have here is, we would like, Mr. Morrison would like to propose, wait for it, HDPE pipe for the force main. Now, the one that we submitted, the one that he submitted earlier, that Mr. Rash from his company submitted earlier, actually was technically the wrong pipe. And I've been in touch with Charter Plastics. I have a submittal for your engineer and for the authority to review, just a 2-page thing. They have a product, HDPE product, which is true to the internal diameter. It is specifically made for force mains. It's called Green Stripe. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is what he would like to use in place of SDR for the force main portion, simply because, first of all, it's more expensive. He thinks it's a much better product because, of course, it's fusible. And he's concerned with the slope that we're going up there, that over time the cemented fittings in your SDR will pull away. So we just would like to submit this for your review and hopefully approval. I can have the representative from Charter. Those of you who may not know, it's a Pennsylvania producer of plastic pipe. I can have their representative, I've not spoken with their sales rep, but I have her name. I can provide that to Mr. Bailey here. If you want to review any of their product literature, she'll forward it to you. That's my presentation for tonight. See?
Wow.
I got one concern with that.
Yeah.
We are running into it now with our repairs in the Perdix line. If in fact we agree to accept that HDPE, it needs to be a standard size where we can get parts for it to make the replacements. We can't find fittings. We're having a hard time now finding some kind of fittings for some of those lines that we have down there. The laterals that come off of them, and even the main lines. That they're an odd size for some reason, and we have to.
Sam, what's the history on that? When was that done, and what product was used? Do you know?
Offhand, I don't know.
All I know is it was used down there. Rock knew that, but he
Right.
didn't know the time frame of the product.
And I personally don't have a problem using, an HDPE, to pull it through there. It depends on what the other members are going to do. The only concern I have is to make sure that we can find repair materials that are compatible with that pipe. 'Cause, we made repairs down in Perdix already, where we had to go in there and jury rig a lot of stuff to make it work, and I'm not comfortable doing that.
No, you shouldn't.
No.
But if I'm going to presume that Charter can provide the satisfaction you need, the guarantees you need.
Charter's been around for a long time. I took one of their seminars, fusion tests, probably about 25 years ago. So
I never have, but I understand it's a good company. But
they were down. They had a thing down at Reading down years ago. That was when it's first coming out. Is this going to be open trenched, or are they going to bore this?
I don't know. I thought they were going to open trench it so you can inspect it, but I truthfully don't know. I don't know. I think he was. I think it's open trench. I think that's what he's doing. I haven't looked at it. I'm sorry.
It's kind of a little unusual to be putting HDPE in an open trench system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but there's trees in there in that route there. They had to clear trees and all that. It's not an easy pullable route, I don't think. No pun intended on.
No, I know he was concerned with one of those big oak trees down there too. I think he wanted to try to save it too.
So is that going down through his easement of
I
the
think so.
property?
I believe so.
It almost
Yes.
has to be, yeah.
So from what I remember, I walked that 2 years ago or so. There's a lot of trees in there. So whether he's pulling it, I don't know. But I can certainly find that answer and get that answer for you. So who wants copies? Who doesn't want copies? And then I'm out of your hair.
Engineer and operator.
Hmm?
Engineer and the operator.
From Monarch, what are these, wet wells or manholes?
These are manholes.
For minutes, okay.
Thank you, I should have, they are manholes, various fittings, excuse me.
That's good enough.
Yeah,
Manholes
here's
works for
obviously
me.
sectional manholes, and we've got some components of those.
I'll just say manholes and components, that's good enough, thanks.
Boot connectors.
Nah, we're
You
getting
know.
too specific now.
Are we? Good.
I don't like to get
Okay.
technical.
Here's that. Anybody else? I've got extra copies if you want some evening reading. No?
Give me a copy, I can, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll
Huh?
look at it.
Did you get this one from Monarch, or you have the other one?
I think he's given,
No, this is
no,
Monarch.
that's
This is
what I'm
for you.
saying, that's for me. too.
That's for you,
Yeah,
okay.
that's the Monarch. It's got the logo.
Anything else for me?
Yes.
Yes.
When is this project gonna take off?
Well, he's working on it. Been up there? I mean,
Yeah,
the pump station was ordered, I don't know, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, something like that. So that should.
are we administering a penalty on this? Cause it is over the 180 days is what I'm concerned about. I mean, this thing has been going on and on and on and on timeframe wise. And the last discussion we had back in the spring was once the DEP thing was all taken care of and received back, he had 180 days. Well, 180 days is up, and it just never seems to be going on. That's the only concern I have, you know?
I know.
Uh,
I can only,
I
Mr. Holman,
understand.
I can only refer you to a letter I believe his attorney wrote some weeks ago, addressing concern.
Are we administering our penalty?
We have not taken action because I think the time period is, the 6 months is just about to the day expiring, isn't it?
It must be soon, yes.
I thought it was March 8th.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, our minutes in here states that we were, what is our options, Mr. Solicitor?
Well, you're gonna have several options. What is the facility there now that can actually be connected? Is there something that could be connected?
He has one EDU that he was promised to hook up.
And that could be connected now if you have that. Well, I mean, there's an issue there with the mandatory connection ordinance.
Is that the ordinance that we would apply to this issue?
Well, it may be. I think that's ordinance 101, and the township, it's a township ordinance. The township has typically enforced it, but in a lot of these situations, they've delegated that enforcement power to the authority, and that's the ordinance that was enforced with some of the properties and verdicts.
Yeah.
Where the people did not connect timely.
Was our letter a notice to connect?
I think a notice to connect was probably sent out by the township on this. I don't know for sure, I don't have it, but I believe it was.
So we need the township to tell us whether or not there's...
Yeah, the township would want the authority to take any action, though.
I don't know, I think there's something in our rules and regulations that says we can assess them already. I'm just not concerned, I
I'd
just
have
don't
to-
know what that assessment is at the present moment.
You had decided that it was 180 days after the date of DEP's approval.
Right.
And Karen has researched that, and I thought she sent an email to everybody, and I did not write it down, but that date has passed.
That date has passed from
Right.
approval.
I have that
Then we
marked.
waited till.
Yes, you had it.
We wait till the
August
township
14th.
mailed his notification to him, and that 180-day time frame is up this month.
Okay, see, I don't know about the township.
So, we've already gave as much as we need to give. We've
Okay.
gave him his 180 days of no questions asked to the farthest limit for that one EDU unit.
Yeah, the slop sink or the whatever it is, the
You
sink.
have-
Whatever it is.
I think
It's-
the potential options would be enforcement of course, any ordinances that have not been complied with. There'd be the potential for the township to actually effect the connection and leave the property. which is something we have not had to do, but that's the next step if the process of trying to enforce the ordinance is not successful through fining and the like. In the past, I believe you've billed ready to serve charges, essentially, which is the sewer rental.
That's being done.
Oh, that is, okay. And I don't know if there's any permits, I don't know that if there's anything that would be at risk of being revoked or suspended in the way of permitting. That would be something we would need to look at.
I think our rules and regs state we can also fine $1,000 a day.
Yeah, if that's not in the rules.
No, that's in the ordinance.
It's in the ordinance.
That's in the ordinance.
It may be in the race rules too.
I think that's the ordinance 101.
Yeah, that's where it had, I noticed it in there in the past.
Nobody wants to do that because it's a pain in the butt.
Well, I would simply ask on behalf, and I can't speak for his attorney and all that, but I would simply, look at the basic facts of the matter. I don't dispute the dates and all that, no, there's no disputing that. But you come down to the basic issue of what is he doing, what is he expensing, who's the ultimate owner of that system, and what's his use? He's got one unhooked up sink and a toilet they don't use. Obviously it is not hooked up, they don't use it. So there's no harm with.
When he bought that property, he understood those rules.
And he understood the rules, and he's carrying out those rules with respect, Mr. Holman. The time frame isn't as fast as people would like, but he's obviously spending a lot of money to provide a disposal for one sink and one toilet. He could have gone an on-lot system and be done with it,
I know
But
that.
the ultimate owner of this system is is the authority. He's got one EDU. I simply ask that, who is it hurting right now? He's spending the money. He's got his people out there building the system. He's ordered the pump station. It's going to be delivered, I was told, any day. It doesn't mean it's going to be hooked up immediately, but he's obviously spending many tens of thousands of dollars to do it. So I simply state the facts. He's making an effort, tardy though it may be. Yes, but what's the harm? What is the harm?
Not hooked up. I can't live in a place, I can't occupy an occupation, I can't do nothing like that. Anybody else in this township would not, this authority, would not permit it. There is rules out there, and we need to enforce. I think we've been very, very generous.
I'm not saying you haven't.
Okay? I think it's time that we need to take our stance on behalf of this. I hate to be that way. But we set a precedent, then we got the next precedent with the next one that just left here. It just builds and builds and builds and builds. I think we got a very, very generous and understanding authority here. I don't think we're out here beating anybody. But we also...
I would concur with that.
We can only give so much.
Understand that. But again, there's no real harm here. There's no real harm. There's no environmental concern. There's no. I realize he's pushed the deadline way past where it was supposed to have been. I understand that. We can't bring that back. All he's doing now is trying to fix it as soon as he can.
Okay, I guess we've had enough discussion about that issue. I think we understand where everybody stands on this thing.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, you want to make a motion? Make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we turn around and start another step of enforcement. Whatever that needs to be, Mr. Solicitor.
Yeah, I think it would be a process under enforcement of the connection ordinance for a fine.
Because I see that this is going to go on. It probably won't happen until January, and then we'll be into July next year, and there's no guarantee in our good faith that we have been doing. It just keeps going on and on and on.
I don't believe it will go that far, sir.
Well, then, prove me wrong.
So what's your motion?
That we move to the next level of enforcement, whatever that is that the solicitor recommends.
Joe, we have a motion on the table, Does anybody wanna second that motion?
Well, before I can even second it, I need to know what that level of enforcement's gonna be.
Well, I think it would be, at least my recommendation, if the board wishes to move forward with enforcement, the next logical step to me would be pursuing a violation of ordinance 101 and requesting a fine. That's something that, I mean, it's a daily violation. Each day that it's not connected is itself a new violation, but you have not generally gone in every day and filed these. You have filed one, and then we wait and see what effect the enforcement has, and then decide where to go from there. I wouldn't recommend starting the process of actually effecting a connection by hiring a contractor to do it quite yet, but that is another possible option. You are saying, there is, the line is there, it could be physically connected, is that what I'm understanding? It just hasn't happened.
I don't even know where
No, the line's not complete.
in there yet.
No, the line, let me be clear for the listener, no, Dennis, the line is not,
So
I have no idea what the UCC
cannot hook
contractor
this
We
up.
could not go in and connect this ourselves, because
there's no system.
the facilities
No,
aren't
he's
there
building
to
the
connect.
system.
Then
But
that option does not exist at this point. It would be the first option that I mentioned. I mean, there may be revocation of, well, that's not really enforcement, but there may be issues. Is this building occupied?
As far as I know, he has 1 or 2 employees in there that service well rigs.
I mean, that's another avenue that I don't know who, if he has an occupancy permit, possibly the township could start a process to, how would I say, I don't want to use the word revoke, but it's the best word I can think of right now.
They have a chemical.
That there'd be no occupancy of the building until such time as this is taken care of. That's another possibility, but it seems to me the first logical approach for the authority would be a process to enforce ordinance 101.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
John.
Yes, sir.
Bottom line, he's gotta get off the dead center.
I hear you loud and clear.
Thank you.
I hate to be that way, I really do. But we got another business here, and
Well, let's move to the next issue, if we could, please.
thank you.
Which involves our engineer.
Which one?
I have an email from Sean Harbaugh, DEP, who is concerned about the connection of D. Coven, and I'm supposed to respond to him.
Excuse me.
Now, this is an issue that really does have an environmental impact. We have a system down there that's unpermitted discharging to a water body in the
I
Commonwealth.
just didn't know, because.
Now, if we're that concerned about a system that's not doing any environmental harm, we sure as hell ought to be more concerned about this issue, and we ought to
You
be
want to pick
moving
it up?
forward.
You want to pick it up? Let's have a meeting every 2 weeks, and we can make this happen.
Let's do something,
That's all I
because,
gotta do. We can move it
well,
faster.
no,
We can
but
force
wait
it.
a minute.
No, I don't think we have to do that.
We can
Last
force
month,
it.
we directed our engineer to put together a bid package and send the bids and stuff out to get that done. I think we need to act on that and get that done.
As soon as
And get that
possible.
in as soon as possible.
Question, Sam, not to interrupt you, but is that for that line running up to the property line?
That's correct.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yes. That needs to be done
That's
ASAP.
what you committed to do.
That's it.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And I have a,
I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
okay,
You're on.
we're working on that, and
Okay.
I think that was part of our report.
Okay, your
And-
report, you're on, so
Yeah,
you can
all
do
right.
this and whatever.
What'd I do with that?
I don't know, but you can look at mine.
I got it right here, I just put this, yeah, you're talking about the low-pressure sewer extension
Right.
project. Yeah, and when I reported on that, we have completed the survey, we had difficulty in determining property corners.
Right.
We did complete that work. And what I'm reporting here is most likely we'll have this work completed within the next 2 weeks.
All right.
Okay?
Okay.
And,
So when will we be able to let it out for bids, would you say?
oh, if,
So I can tell this guy what he wants to,
yeah, when I talked to our people today, and in the past couple days, is we're gonna be on this probably within the next day or so to finalize everything, so it's just gonna take us a few days to get that done. So I said a couple weeks, we'll need to do an HOP through PennDOT to be in the right-of-way, because we're just in the right-of-way with the extension.
okay.
Yeah. So that will be part of that as well. That doesn't take, we can do that now online.
All right.
Yeah.
So when can we issue the,
When do you want to issue that?
July
ASAP.
July 1st.
really, we need a,
Yeah.
we've been,
And the reason I say that is because the man gave us until June, the end of June, to get it connected.
Okay.
And there was no
All right,
reason we
so-
shouldn't have had that.
we want to be in a position where we can send a letter out to this guy and a notice to connect to our system. And then we can do just what we did
What we did just a bit ago.
just a bit ago. And we need to do this as soon as we can,
Okay. I made note of it.
okay?
So the bid packet can be ready, what, in 2 weeks?
At the latest.
Okay, I'll write that down.
That's what I was checking with the people who are working on this, and
Okay. So that he knows what to tell Sean to get him off our backs.
yeah.
So we'll be ready to let bids within about 2 weeks.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Do we need to make a meeting or anything to approve bids? Or can we have it ready for approval for our next stated meeting?
Well, if it's going to be in 2 weeks, we'll have to advertise,
Yeah.
and we're going to have to advertise pretty quickly here to get so it's going to be about 2 weeks, and then that's nothing too complicated. We could probably give them a week or two, so they could be possibly available, accept bids, and then have you at the following October meeting.
You think it's possible that bids could be received by the October meeting?
I believe so. It's going to be tight, but we can
Try
try.
it.
Okay.
Let's try it because.
Well, and our October meeting is on the 2nd, I mean, it's right at the beginning of the month. If not, what about at our JOAC meeting?
That's a good point, okay.
When is that?
That's a week later.
It's
The
a.
second Monday of the
Second
month.
Monday is the 14th.
Right.
What's JOAC stand for?
Joint
Operating
Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee.
I got the JO right.
That's between Duncan Borough and us. Most of the activities between the borough and their collection system and treatment plant and us, but.
I've
Is
seen
it
it
ever-
referenced, and I just didn't know what it was, and Bill wasn't available to ask him, so.
It's an advertised meeting, and as long as we have a quorum, we can
Yeah.
conduct business.
So that's the second Monday.
October 14th this year.
That would probably be more realistic. I mean, we could try to make it for the authority meeting, but we're gotta advertise and then give the guys some time to look over things, so.
We have that down at the borough office now.
Okay.
too, So.
All right.
You know where the Duncan Borough office is?
Yeah, I've been there years
Been there,
ago.
okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
been a while, but I've been there.
Okay.
I think I will not make that, I'm not too sure, but I don't think I'm gonna make that meeting, the
Okay.
14th.
We'd have to have what?
All you need is three.
Okay.
I should be there for that. I won't be here for our October meeting here.
All right.
I'm not too sure, I got a wedding to go to, and I'm not too sure whether,
His daughter.
We've got Jimmy here now.
yeah.
Do you want me to go through the rest of the items?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Well, Market Street Bridge Force Main Project, we did finalize all the information submitted to PennDOT. Joel Cross at PennDOT, I submitted that information to in electronic format. I scanned the information in and sent him the specifications, the plans, all the forms and so forth. And he's reviewing those, and some other people are reviewing those. I had to come back to Elmer last week and get him to sign another form. I resubmitted that.
Okay.
There's a possibility, you made a check out to me for the bridge occupancy
Right.
license, and it's not 100% sure, but I think he's telling me now because you're an authority, we really don't have to submit a check or a fee for that.
Oh.
Which is contrary to what they told us in the previous, okay? So before I tell you I'm going to give you your check back or rip it up, I want to make 100% sure that that is the case.
All right.
Okay?
The auditors would prefer to have it returned rather than ripped up.
Okay, that's what I'll do. So, but I'm going to give them a couple days because I got a little, email that it's really not required, but then that's 180 degrees from what they were telling us before. And I think what we experienced on another project, which is a municipality, an authority. So, okay, so I'll return that check if that is the case.
Okay. Now, the other issue was what we just got that Dennis is looking at right now. You want to explain that to the rest of the board
What's
members?
that, on Sunshine Hills?
That's what I showed you about the,
No, the thing was resolution, the agreement.
Oh,
there's
yeah.
an agreement.
I'm sorry, we're still on that.
yeah.
Or do you want a little more time, because it's,
No, I'm okay
Okay.
with it. I mean, it appears to me that the entire cost estimated at $31,872.50 will be the authority's
right.
obligation. And it also appears to me that in the event, for any reason, the project is abandoned, you won't get any money back, which I presume would include if, in fact, you've already incurred some. You don't get it back. The chances of that happening are probably extremely remote, but this is, I think, a standard form.
Standard boilerplate kind of thing.
And how I look at it, there would be some costs maybe up front, but for you to do that work, the bridge structure has to be going in, and that has to be in place before you can put your pipe in and hang it off the bridge. So if you did have any involvement or commitment to a contractor, it, not to say how much it would be, but it'd probably be less than, because you wouldn't have the entire project to see it to completion. Yeah.
So I'm okay.
You're okay with
the form of that. I think you can
Does anybody
authorize-
else here, if I,
authorize approval and
yeah,
execution?
can I get you folks to authorize approval of this? Did you want to take a look at it, Cece, before you?
I'd like to look at it.
It's basically the agreement.
Somewhere it said we need a resolution, Dennis. Is that like one of our official things? I'm
That's asking
not-
for a resolution, I believe.
Somewhere,
It's on the yellow sticky.
Is there a
Well, I know,
separate-
but-
Did they submit a separate resolution, or?
I
You
don't
can
see it
have a
on the
motion
cover
to
letter
approve-
there,
to
but
approve
I
a
thought something she showed me to
resolution.
do said a resolution.
Approve a resolution to approve and authorize execution of the agreement if you want to do it that way.
Well, I want to make sure everybody's on board.
I don't see a separate resolution document, but I think that what they're really looking for is that you accept the terms of that proposed
Okay.
contract.
So,
So if I understand this right, they're gonna charge us $32,000 to hang the equipment and stuff on that bridge.
Well, that's the estimated cost. It could vary from that. It could be less or it could be more dependent upon the contractor and the cost, the actual cost to install it. That's what the cost that we estimated. They reviewed that and accepted that as being realistic.
To the outside scope of their right of way that they've already gonna be putting in,
Wow, everything's within their right of way.
within their right of way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, there's nothing outside. But you're absorbing 100% of the cost. They're absorbing nothing, as it states in the agreement.
The only thing I have a question about at the present moment is there any designs in there in regards to being able to hook up the beer distributor?
well, I don't think they
Such
have
as
that
a,
on
such
something
as a
like
lateral?
Well,
Whatever.
no.
That has nothing to do with the bridge.
Well,
Well, if it's within the town, if it's within PennDOT's
their
right of way
It's in their
structure,
right
you
of way.
might as
We
well
need-
put it in now.
We need a lateral.
I thought there was something discussed before.
Well, it was part of the motion
That it was
to
in the
get
plan,
this,
yeah.
to get this done. It was part of the motion that we put a lateral
Yeah.
under the road
To
to
the other
serve
side.
the beer distributor.
And if we don't have that, I'd like to see that done. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Well, I understand. What we did is we terminated the pipe at the right-of-way line for the connection to occur.
But
But,
if we can incorporate this within the structure, we'd be much further ahead to have them just put that in across their road when it's all tore up. So we don't have to shut that road down to do that later on. Just to run a little trench across there and tie in, or a tunnel underneath at a later time to bore in. Get the low pressure line in there. It could be very, very easy to do. Very,
I'd
very
sooner-
economical.
If I was doing the whole job, I'd sooner do it now than
I would sooner do it now
5 years
too.
from now.
It's much more, it should all be more economical.
I would think.
There's no
What do I
language
know?
So
in
you
here
might wanna-
dealing with it, but it would be part of the plans for the project are
I
incorporated.
mean, it might be another $5,000 on top
I'm
of
just
that.
saying,
yet.
once
so-
again, that would be our cost. I mean,
Right.
we're asking for it, so it'd be our cost.
Well, they only care about what's in their right of way.
Well, if
Well,
we
this
can
would be
incorporate
their
this.
right away. It's gonna be under their right away.
Well, okay, I've come in midstream, so I'm not privy to know all that information, so.
If they're 50 feet up the road,
Okay,
putting new asphalt in and paving and everything else.
Right.
Back off that bridge, there needs to be a lateral across there, because that 50 feet's gonna put you clean up into the driveway going into the beer distributor.
but I thought we were terminating our line on the side of the beer distributor for them to connect to at the edge of the right of way. And I might be wrong, maybe the beer distributor's on the other side.
Beer
It's
distributor's
up to the
wait.
beer distributor to bring the line up to the
The last,
to
the
line,
last, the
right?
last conversation and the last understanding that I had is
It's on the
the
upstream side.
line is gonna be on the upstream side of the bridge, and the beer distributor's on the downstream side. In other words, if you're going down over the hill right now,
Yeah,
your line's gonna be over here,
yeah,
and your beer distributor's over here.
okay. Yeah, then we need.
Is that something that has to be resolved before I sign this thing? That's
think
my
so.
question, or not?
Because it should be tied into that, shouldn't it?
Well, if it's gonna change the dollar amount of the, of what's stated in the agreement, it possibly could change the agreement, because what you wouldn't wanna do is sign it and then have an amendment. I mean, you could, but that just,
Would you like to hold that off till,
Do you need this?
Can you, how long can you hold it?
I don't know.
well, we got a meeting next week.
Let me see what it says here.
I mean, he can get resolved with it and discuss this and see what we gotta do, since we waived this concern. But now's the time to put that low pressure line across there.
Oh, I agree.
Could that be incorporated in the plans, and they're not mentioning this because this is just the pipe across the bridge?
Well, it would be incorporated into plans, but the agreement actually includes those plans.
Okay.
So, and now that I'm hearing what the engineer said, I'm not sure if that pricing included.
I don't think
I'm
it
not
does.
sure that it did either, because I was brought in at the tail end of this.
Well, in any case, if they raise the price to put it in the line, we're gonna pay it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Right, because
So,
you're absorbing 100%
we're
of the
gonna
cost.
take care of it anyway, so.
Yeah. But what it does is it makes
might
this
go increase the
agreement,
price.
it's gonna increase the price.
This fell through the crack due to the engineering change, personnel.
It possibly, I
Because it was
wasn't,
discussed with the previous one,
Yeah.
and that's exactly where this fell through, and it's the only reason we're having this discussion.
Well, is
with
there
it.
any reason why I shouldn't sign that thing right now then, really? I mean, if we're gonna do it.
well, let me talk to, Joel Cross about this.
All right.
And
Sign that next week if possible.
yeah.
You can put it on,
A
do
week
it
ain't
at
gonna hurt.
JOAC, right? Would another week be
1
all
week.
right?
I don't see where they give you any deadline on when to, I'm sure the sooner the better, the way they view it.
Yeah, I don't wanna,
But I can't see signing it and then being negated and having to sign another one, you know?
all right.
Because it's gonna,
Well,
what
how
they,
about you taking it with you, and
All
then
right.
you decide what you wanna do, give me a call.
yeah, and I
We
apologize
have
for
to
that.
meet somewhere and I sign the damn thing down the road, I don't care,
Yeah.
you know, whatever.
Is there a motion on the floor, Susan, or where?
No.
No, we didn't
Okay,
put a
so we-
motion on the floor yet. Okay,
No, you're gonna,
we'll take care of that then somehow.
are we,
What?
when, catch me up here. When are we gonna put the motion on the floor for you to sign that? Are we gonna wait until the meeting of the
We're gonna wait.
JOAC meeting?
Yeah,
Okay, okay.
we're gonna hope, that maybe.
Now that JOAC, you meet every month then? And
Next
that's
meeting is,
that's
Second
the
Monday.
second Monday, yeah.
What is the second Monday of September? I
It's
don't know.
advertised every time, so we have a meeting after theirs that we can make
No.
action. So
Ninth.
even if they cancel, we can still
Okay.
still
I
conduct
won't-
meetings.
It's only 5
Are we
days
supposed
out.
to be at those meetings or no? 'Cause
no, not
Okay.
usually, not unless like we
all
ask
right,
you to be there.
because I have another meeting I have to
No.
be there that night, so.
Well, then, we may not be able to do this by the 9th then, huh?
Well, if you want us to be there, maybe Bill
Well, he
will come
can-
in my place or
he-
somebody.
He can
Well,
get the
you can-
paperwork up.
I don't know that we actually need to be there.
No.
It's
No.
just that if you wanted us to be there for us to answer any
I'm thinking he
questions.
can fax the information to us, we
Yeah.
can see what the information is, make the motion to sign it, and then you can get together with him sometime to sign it.
All right.
Okay, yeah, and I'll
That's only 5 days. It
Yeah.
can't be the end of the world.
let me see what I need to do. I'll talk to,
Yeah, well, let me know, and I'll,
but I wanna get with our guys to say, well, where did we drop the ball on this and where are we supposed to be? Because I was told this is where we're terminating and the connection's gonna come from there, but I wasn't aware that, you know.
And if I have to, I'll just send an email to everybody and
Okay.
maybe we can vote online.
You have an email address?
Huh?
You have an email address?
No, but I need it. That's one thing I wanted to get. What is it?
All right. And I apologize.
Put it on there. I'll put it on. I guess that's legal, right?
They've done things by consensus in the
Yeah,
past,
we'll-
and then
we'll
you,
work. What we can
you
ratify,
vote on it
we'll
then the
do.
next meeting.
Ratify it. yeah.
Okay, all right,
We'll get it done.
all right.
You want me to go ahead and proceed then?
Yep, go
Okay.
ahead.
Sunshine Hills Water Treatment Storage Project. I think as most of you have seen, except Mr. Coker, and I had sent Ms. Nobinger a copy. I didn't get a response, so I just forwarded it to CEDACOG. Hopefully that was okay. But we did a description of the proposed water system improvements that was to be included for a grant funding application that was being prepared by CEDACOG on your behalf. I did that on the 29th, and evidently they've gotten that information. We have since then been in contact with the folks at CEDACOG. Just for your information, we were told that the funding application will probably be in late. They'll probably be, be looking at these applications in late spring of 2014. So I know that doesn't really fit into the schedule we were looking at, but
What was that, 2014?
late spring of
Late
2014.
spring.
Yeah, we're thinking, that's what they told us. I said, can you be a little more specific? But we're probably looking like April, May timeframe.
So with what you're saying there, they look at, approve it, we get the money.
The
You
decision
won't
would
have-
probably be made in late spring for the grant application,
Okay,
is what I'm
so we
saying.
probably won't be able to have this thing online until the next spring,
That's right,
at the best case scenario,
probably. Or,
being realistically.
well, we'll have all summer and
So
fall.
you're looking at 2015, because these people here wanna know.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
listen, we got, what, $200,000 through the county, and when do we have to start spending that money? That's what worries me.
Yep. I thought they had 3 years for the 143.
I don't remember. I'd hate to guess.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's what's got me worried.
Have we ever gotten anything in writing?
Well, that part of it is not a big deal. We can already spend that money because we already got the valve and hydrant lines hooked up. We can put that infrastructure in a while if we have to.
Well,
We better
yeah,
find out.
we were up,
Right, Sam?
to the meeting, and,
Yeah, but that's for
Eddie and I
the,
went up to the meeting, and
that's
they,
for this
We put a
new
valve in.
year.
We can-
yeah, that's
I
for the,
guarantee
But,
that
you know,
money
I don't
was
know
spent
that
down
we-
through there without any trouble.
I think we did get a letter.
Okay.
Clean out the butcher
You don't wanna let any money on the table.
No, we
I gotta
don't.
find out exactly what what you have to do, what you can do, and
Yeah.
what the deadline is to do it.
Yes, we do.
I got a concern with the completion of that system up there. I'm not too sure we
Yeah.
could wait two more years,
Yeah.
to get away with it. And I'm sorry. I'd love very much to get $500,000 free money, all right? But I can't, I don't wanna jeopardize the folks that live on a hill. And then, because we're trying to be, we're playing with.
We're trying to be financially frugal, but it's liable to cost us more in the long run.
Right. And for what you were saying about these other folks, we can handle 10 of their houses right now.
Correct.
So, we're not,
And we've explained that to them, but I don't see 10 houses by 2015, the summer of 2015.
neither do I, but
But-
at any rate.
Well, my main concern is we don't wanna lose the money we have.
I agree. We worked too hard to get what we got.
And we don't wanna jeopardize, if they're gonna give us $500,000, we don't wanna jeopardize that either.
But we have an 8-inch valve up there that we can hook to and continue that line down through there, whether this process proceeds early or not. Am I correct?
There is an 8-inch valve there, yes.
that we put in for the four-log, that infrastructure is already set up, we can go either direction with that
That's correct.
at any time, and I think that money's what that's earmarked for that, am I right, Sam?
That's
They
correct.
said they could be used for infrastructure, so you could start using it.
We can start using that at any time.
That's correct.
We could break ground in spring with that, whether we put the water system in or not.
Well, I don't know, Randy, maybe it would be good if at some point in time we have a discussion with the county commissioners about how, when we have to start spending that money.
Maybe your folks from CEDACOG could give you that information.
Well, they might be able to too.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they can tweak it a little bit for us. For our
Well, he
benefit.
already tweaked it to include the infrastructure, and when he was here, remember that? He said that would be all right. He talked to the commissioners.
We got about 200.
143 plus another 60, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, whatever.
Well,
What
then-
was it, Ed, we got? I forget.
56,300, I believe.
Okay. Plus we had
40.
40.
It was 143, I think. Newspaper said 143.
Whatever. Okay, we need to check to make sure we're not gonna be,
I've got a note here to find out, to check with Karen where-
Okay.
if there's a letter,
All right.
where the letter
okay,
is.
All right. Okay, what else? do we
All
have,
right,
Andy?
and then we talked the other day about the treatment techniques for manganese removal and arsenic removal if we
Right.
decide to acquire additional
Right.
sources. Because right now, wells 1 and 2 aren't a problem with arsenic, but if we decide to expand the system and bring on additional wells outside
Yeah.
that, in the area that have the potential to be affected by arsenic. So what we're looking at possibly is ion exchange for the iron manganese and
Okay.
possible absorption for the arsenic. So I did find a system that said it could do all three, but yes, you're supposedly supposed to have a higher iron content in the water.
I'll interrupt at this point,
Go ahead.
thinking that we do.
What's that?
We do have a higher iron content in the water. I made a mistake.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I tested after sequestering. So we have to retest for iron.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That might make a difference, because what I was looking at, it's called an Ad Edge, was the manufacturer of the
Yes.
equipment. And they have a system, it's an AD26, that says that they can do all three, but it says typically,
Well, it works better with a little more iron.
Yeah, that's
Well,
right,
yeah,
that's
the
right,
problem-
that's
yeah.
right,
That's the reason I interrupted. We
Not
have
a
the more
problem.
iron. We have the more iron we need.
yeah,
Well, they also can add ferric chloride, I think, to some of the systems.
yeah.
So, depends on the iron content.
What I'd like to do is get, if it's okay
Yeah,
with
we'll
you.
retest that.
Retest and get
Yeah.
some more accurate information so we can make an analysis and evaluation on what's probably the best treatment process to go with.
Okay.
So we've been looking at that and researching that, and we're probably going to need the better water quality results to know really.
I think the only thing we really need to retest for is iron, but you let me know if it's other than that.
Well, we have no arsenic at this point.
No,
So,
the arsenic has not been
Right.
changed by this mistake.
Yeah,
The
right.
mistake would have changed primarily iron.
Iron. Okay. But I'm saying if we want to put something in the system
In case we need.
in case we
may
need
not
that.
even need arsenic removal.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure we will, but
Well,
in case we do, we need to have something that'll handle it.
that or have the ability to upgrade the
Right.
system to put another module in place
Right.
to handle that separately, so, okay.
Okay.
So that would cover that for the time being, and then Stone Mill Estates Sewer Water, we reviewed that plan, and I summarized that in a memorandum.
Yeah, I got it.
Do you guys have any questions on that?
Is that memorandum in the correspondence folder? So that we have a copy for the authority?
I did send it to Karen,
Okay, then that's all.
and that's this right here. I don't know, it's dated September 3rd.
All right, if you sent her one, then we've got it.
Yeah, and Mr. Wilson acknowledged that he had received it, and he didn't really take any exceptions to my comments. What it is this just a continuation of the previous review, and the previous reviews only showed the sanitary sewer system because they were proposing on-lot water. In this most recent submittal, or most recent submittals that they revised the design, they've included public water. And in that sense, they just showed water lines on the plan and profiles. There wasn't any real detailed information shown on that in regards to the layout. They need to put valves, and they did show some hydrants, but they need to comply with the water system specifications in meeting those requirements and revising, detailing their drawings, according to those specifications. So, and again, he didn't take any exception to my comments, to my knowledge, so. All right. You folks have any other questions for me? Or?
Anything else for our engineer?
Yes, if you see that there's gonna be stumbling blocks or anything in regards to getting some of these things moving and keeping us moving, I know on my behalf, I'd be more than willing for us to pay, schedule a meeting,
Okay.
advertise it, get this thing moving if you need something more promptly.
You're talking about the low pressure sewer extension specifically. Okay. Yeah.
Basically,
I think
specifically,
I was
okay?
talking to our guys the past couple days, and I got them to to give me a confirmation. It's going to be 2 weeks or less. So.
I mean, this is not gonna be
Yeah.
a long-term project.
No, it's not.
The idea is to get it done for the snow flies
Yep.
and
Right.
the hunting season excursions and all that stuff down in there, and there's a good possibility we can meet that guideline without too much trouble if we keep on this.
I agree.
Your field's taken off too, so we don't have to worry about that weed or whatever it was on there anymore. We did take that.
Okay.
And,
Anything else?
well, just in review of what Mr. Wilson had presented, I don't know. I think, again, it is a concern of mine as well as the authority members that access to those manholes is very critical. And I think that's something that you want to take under serious consideration, because if they're ever to dedicate that system to you, you're going to have serious issues getting in and out of those areas to service any blockages or anything like that. So
Have you ever seen private systems that size? That
no.
dumped into a...
No, and they're, see, in essence, they got to be able to get back in there to install the manholes. Okay, so they got to get in. I mean, even though they're going to do some boring work, they got to get in there to install the manholes. So they got to be able to get in there in the first place to install these facilities.
They need to get in there to put stone in.
Right.
So they need to bring dump trucks in.
So, that being the case, I don't know. But I think it's something that you don't want to take lightly. That would be my opinion anyway. So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, thank you. Operators report. Oh, yeah.
Am I free to go?
Free to
Okay.
go. Free to go. You don't
Not
have
quite, not quite.
to endure the rest.
Okay.
got
The operator has a question.
Oh, Ed, okay.
Operator's report is that, 2 items. Well, under the operator's report, 1 item. DEP is now going to require us in 2017 to bring well 1 into complete compliance.
What?
What year?
2017, well 1 will have to be in complete compliance.
Or
That means-
disconnected.
Or disconnected.
Oh, yeah.
My reason for being here tonight is to ask you your wishes on that.
Oh, my God.
Now, up to this point, well 1's been great to say that it was an emergency supply, and in essence it was. It hasn't cost us to keep it as an emergency supply. But we're, long before 2017, we'll be disconnecting that well from the system. And then we will have to either reconnect it or leave it disconnected.
What do they mean, bring it into?
It'll have to be tested, just like well 2 is.
Oh.
So all the parameters of testing,
Oh.
all the costs involved in testing will have to be met.
Is it worth it for 5,000 gallons? a
No.
day? I didn't think so.
The reason for me being here tonight is I need to reply to DEP's request for what our intentions will be in the future. Now, we don't have to meet this requirement until 2017, but long before that, we have to tell them what our plans are. And my suggestion to you is to say that we will be abandoning that supply prior to 2017.
All right.
Now, the reason I wanted that engineer to hear that is so that he could advise you pro or con on my suggestion that you do allow me to tell DEP that our intention is to let that go before 2017. I don't know how soon exactly they want me to reply to that, but it's relatively soon.
30 days?
I'm not sure, Henny. I'm sorry, I can't remember for sure. I just wanted to put this out there for you guys as consideration. I don't feel that the well has enough capacity to keep it online and to make it worthwhile spending $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 a year testing it.
I agree with you 100%. If we need another well, that's,
But then that brings up the arsenic issue.
And we don't know what the arsenic is in well one.
Might change.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well one's only been tested. I've been testing it fairly regularly for bacteria.
Right.
Because if we turned it on, I wanted to know we were protecting our public.
Right.
But that's all we've tested it for.
yeah.
Was bacteria.
Okay. I think the consensus is that we're gonna, it's not worth it. I mean,
I don't have a problem with authorizing you to tell DEP that at this time, our intent is to take that offline prior to 2017.
Okay. I felt pretty confident, but it's the authority's decision.
Emphasize at this time that is our intent.
Yeah.
Because something may change between now and then.
do we need a motion on something like this, or is it, can we just agree that?
I don't think you do unless they're gonna require it, but I.
Not as long as it's in the minutes you authorized me to tell them that. So
Alright.
that if in the future somebody comes back and said Ed Chisholm decided,
No. Okay.
that's not the case.
Well, that makes the cheese more binding, that's for sure.
Well, in truly, the time would have came, Elmer, when it came time to do the plumbing for the new system, I would have suggested we didn't spend any money connecting that up. So DEP, I guess, sort of wants to, is now going to make us to say that officially beforehand. But I wouldn't have suggested we hook it up or spend any money hooking it up when we do the new system.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And that's all I have
All
under
right,
the
well, thanks,
operating
Ed, for
report.
the, oh my goodness.
Under the planning commission, you can take that, and I'll wait until you want to hear about that, but
Yeah, well,
Is that something you need the engineer for?
no.
Okay.
okay, field operators report. Oh, yeah, Randy, yeah.
I'm ready to move. All right, not that I
Wait a
want
minute.
to, but if
No.
you excuse me, I'll,
When do you want to do the planning commission thing? Now?
It
Since you're
doesn't
here?
matter to me. I came in late. I'll take back seat till you guys are ready.
You want to take it? Take it now.
The only thing I have to say about the planning commission is that on the Fishing Creek plan, the planning commission's position, and it's spelled right out in our, and I think I brought it up and showed it to you personally in our saldo, that there must be an agreement or an intent from the municipal authority that they are in general agreeing with the sewer and water design of the Fishing Creek proposal before they can get a preliminary plan moved forward to the planning commission, to the supervisor.
I don't think we can do that right now.
Not after tonight's discussion.
No.
Well, I'm just letting you know.
Do you need a letter like,
If we don't have the letter, we're going to say we don't have the letter from the planning commission. I don't want to, I mean from the municipal authority. I'm not trying to throw it back on you guys. I'm just trying to let you know that if Warden says we've got all these other things met, the other 4 or 5 requirements for a preliminary plan, which I don't think they're going to have because they also need the module from DEP. But one of the requirements for the planning commission spelled out very specifically at the planning commission meeting was a letter from the municipal authority saying they, in general, not the details, but in general agreed with the plans for sewer and water at their development.
we can't do that yet.
Okay.
No way.
I just want to make that clear to the municipal authority. so that we were all, and nobody says they're getting thrown back and forth and bounced all around and not treated fairly. We're all clear. That's all.
Okay.
Might it be prudent to send a letter to the planning commission, just kind of outlining the discussion earlier this evening with them, and so the planning commission has an
Would that be
idea.
helpful?
I think it would
So
be
it's-
very helpful because it shows coordination between the two bodies
Yeah.
Okay.
to the developer.
All right, we'll work something. Who wants to volunteer to work that out?
We'll have Karen do
I was
it.
gonna say have Karen do that.
She can do it from the minutes, it's just a matter of here,
Right.
Our executive secretary.
getting to the manhole and,
I don't write
you know, the issues that you talk about the manhole.
All right, well,
Good night.
Take care,
Safe
Randy.
travel.
Thanks for coming up, bud. Be
Thank
careful
you.
going on.
All right.
Yeah.
all right, letter to the planning commission.
Yeah, we can do that.
You and I can look it over.
All right.
See where that suits us.
All right,
We'll just take the information from the minutes, from what he
Okay.
said here.
okay. All right, very good. All right, you're up.
Reports there, and there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Nothing
on there.
earth-shaking?
No.
Number 2, where's that located at?
Where what? That,
Grinder pump, intermittent alarm.
Is that the apartment? Is that the apartment complex? Your second?
yes, that's Decker's, thank you. That's Decker's apartments, yeah.
Huh,
Okay.
that's the one you put the extensions on.
That's right, I went down and I resealed around it again. And I haven't heard anything back from him. Mr. DiPaolo lives across the driveway from him, said he's gonna give me a shout if he heard it during the rainstorms, and he hasn't heard anything yet, so, yeah.
Have we seen any deviations with these heavy rains?
Things have been pretty good.
Good.
I ordered the, from Eichelberger, I ordered that well pump. And I called him today, I haven't heard anything from him since I ordered it. Called him today and he was out of the office, so I left a message, I have to get back to you and let you know. And for this coming month, is grease trap inspections. And Karen has sent the letters out, so it's not gonna come as that big a surprise to them. That's so much for my report.
Can I ask a question, speaking about grease traps? You do the under sink ones at the same time? Keep
Yes,
an eye on those?
Yes,
Okay. Alright.
yes. I do them all. Everybody that's got one, we do them.
Because I just have a big concern with one. I can't see how they get away with an under counter and not an in-ground, because I think there's a lot more grease use there. You can sure smell it.
Need some help. We'll talk later. Yeah, that's all I got. So for that, the master meter report, number 1, right? Yeah, the Lower Duncannon flow meter was not recording properly. Everything was going, but the needle wasn't tracking. Mr. Chisholm went down and waved his magic wand and touched it, and everything seems to be working now. So we'll let you know next week whether that did anything to us or not, or helped us out. But there's nothing out of the ordinary on that. One other thing that I noticed today, whenever I was reading the meters, if Duncannon personnel, and I stress Duncannon personnel because the meter belongs to them now. If Duncannon personnel needs to get into the metering weir on Clark and High Street, it's going to be very difficult. Borough of Duncannon paved their section on Butcher Shop Road, and they paved over some of the two of the manholes. I mean, you can see where they're at, but it's going to be a bear to get them out of there. So, and I mentioned it to Duncan Borough, personnel, office personnel today. And hopefully they're gonna take care of that, because if we need to get into it and in a hurry, it ain't gonna happen. So.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay, Penn Township Supervisor's Report. You're on.
Yes, I just had a couple things. Susan, do you know if the office had been forwarded a copy of the letter from the Planning Commission regarding wardens? I brought that up at our meeting last week with the comments when they were requesting their time extension. And everybody and his brother was copied on that letter except the municipal authority. And I thought it would be important for us to have that information on hand as well. And that was to be forwarded. Could you make sure that the Planning Commission letter of August 21st was received by the municipal authority? It's not in there.
Okay, so a letter from the Planning Commission of August 21st.
Regarding wardens.
Okay. And they wrote it to the PTS, but was the authority copied? Yeah,
Right.
copied, okay.
And not that it has anything to do with this board, but I know the discussion has come up in the past with holding tanks. And just for what it's worth, the holding tank permit was renewed for the antique barn. So everybody's good. And that is all I know of.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dennis, you're on.
I started a sale proceeding, I guess it's on Wisman. And in the process of doing that, I have to notify all lien holders that the proceeding has started and the date of the sale and all that information. Shortly after those notices went out, I received a phone call from the mortgage lender, which is, it's either the Department of Ag, the Federal Department of Ag, or guaranteed by them. It's one or the other. They've told me they're going to pay the authority's claims. There's both water and sewer. If I recall, the total is somewhere in the 3,000 range. They don't want us to have to take the process through because, of course, they've got their own issues and they've been paying the taxes apparently and just adding that to the delinquent escrow balance. So I expect we'll get a reasonably nice check here within the next week or maybe 10 days.
Excellent.
I have a number of others that I'm ready to get up to the sheriff. There's, I'm going to say 5 or 6 that are on my list to go ahead and file. They'll be for the next sale date, and it's going to be at the very end of the year, I believe, but I can update you on the exact date. I noticed down under old business, number 4, mandatory water connection ordinance, and that's on my list. I started to work on it, got sidetracked, laid it down, and then didn't pick it back up. But today, when I was going through a bunch of things, I saw all the paperwork there. I had started to do some drafting of a proposed ordinance. I'll have that to you by the next meeting for you to review. It'll actually end up being a township ordinance, I think, but it seems to me as though it's reasonable for the authority to take the initial effort to put together a draft.
Well, it's going to be tricky then, since we have folks that have wells that we're not going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've seen that before in my previous life, but.
I have a question about that.
Well, they're grandfathered in.
Yeah,
You have to grandfather them.
well, yeah, I think so too.
I think the law specifically says they are
Well,
grandfathered.
the only other thing I've seen though in the past is if the well becomes contaminated, knowingly becomes contaminated or a threat to another public water supply, then the requirement is to hook up. In other words, say if a well up there somewhere would become, maybe if somebody's fuel oil tank leaks, becomes contaminated, that could threaten a public water supply well, obviously. So in that case, they should be made to remediate and.
I think
hook
so.
up.
In that
So I
situation,
just
yeah.
wanted,
Okay.
I was gonna talk to you about that anyway, that we should put something, I agree that, there's folks that were made to hook or drill wells because of the position of the township here, which was stupid, but that's the other issue, but anyway.
Well, let me circulate a draft and then it'll be a work in progress. We'll get it fine-tuned and over to
Okay.
the supervisors.
All right.
One other item I wanted to talk about, I understand my direction on Morrison is to go ahead and file a proceeding with the district justice, right, for enforcement.
All right, that would become a non-traffic, I
Yes.
pulled out some from
Right,
before.
yes.
They're non-traffic violations and they're done by the police. The ones that we did for the people down here, Chief Schaefer signed them.
Yeah, there is, yeah, I'm not sure if I could sign it. I'll work the logistics out on
Okay.
that. That was something that was a sticking point with the district justice at one point when we first started doing these.
Okay.
But yeah, then, but that's the direction, right? Go ahead and start.
Mhm.
Is he physically able to do anything any quicker than when he gets this plan or whatever this thing is that's coming in? I mean, or is he really pretty much gonna just have to, I mean, we're just gonna proceed and do our thing? I mean, can he do it now? If he wanted to do it now, could he do it now?
We could start the piping.
You talking Morrison?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hasn't broken ground yet. If he's gonna open cut it, he could be digging a hole.
Okay, so there's things that he could be doing even though whatever this, what did he order, some kind of plant or pump
I
station?
mean, he got the gravity flow system, he could have that whole infrastructure put in, they could order the manholes a month ago and
Okay.
had them delivered and
Right.
everything else. I mean, a gravity flow system's not a complicated system to put in.
I wanted to have a handle on that because I'm afraid what I'm expecting is gonna happen, and this isn't for benefit. In fact, we can do it in executive session if you prefer.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, at the end of the meeting,
But you're the chairman, when do you wanna do it?
well,
We can do it.
And I mean,
we can do it at the end.
Yeah.
that way you don't have to ask Bob to
It
leave.
won't require any, that you come back to take any action, I
Okay,
don't believe,
all
so.
right, let's do it at the end.
Okay, then that's all I have for
Okay.
now.
I have a question for you. Wistman, we gave a check to the sheriff for $750. Will they be returning that then?
You will get back,
At
well,
least part of it.
as soon as I get, well, they're gonna send a check here, Department of Ag, I told them just to send it here as opposed to me getting it and sending it up here. We'll have to remember for you to let me know as soon as you have it, because as soon as that happens, then I'll stop the sale.
Okay, I'm with you.
And that stops the cost. Boy, I'm glad you said that. I wanna see,
Because there's every,
the advertising is when we'll get, if I stopped it right now, we would get probably $600 back, I'm guessing, but something like that.
Okay.
If they start to do the advertising, then big couple $100 chunks leave quickly, so we don't want that to happen, because that's just gonna aggravate the problem, so I'll get a hold of you about that, Susan.
Okay.
Okay, we ready for the treasurer's report then?
Okay, Karen's delinquent reports are there.
All right, looking at the delinquent reports, I looked over these a little bit earlier today. 3 individuals or entities or whatever you want to call them, 3, owe the municipal authority over $31,000. That's a heck of a lot of money, and we got to do.
Which ones, let me see if they're on my,
All right.
you have numbers?
All right, no, I'll give you names.
All right,
No.
All right, Daimler Trailer Park,
yep, that's on the line.
and Well, the Daimler trailer park, that's $19,000. Okay? It's a little over $19,000. The other one is 51 and 67, that's Michael Roush.
They're both,
That's roughly $5,000, all right? And 7 and 184 brochures.
Yeah.
That's roughly $6,500. That's a ton of money. We gotta be doing what we gotta do to get this done.
I believe, and I will let you know if I'm incorrect, but I believe they're all on my list to proceed. So before the next meeting, I'll have the paperwork
Alright.
in on all of this.
And
I believe I've written
They're
it.
in the list of you sent Karen something
Yeah.
that you never did before, copies of service, proofs of service.
Right, those liens,
And those
yeah.
names were all on that.
Yeah, for some reason, the proprietary just started to require that out of the blue. I got the requirement that we have to start, they want us to serve the copies of the liens on people and then provide proof of service. I don't know why it changed, but whatever, keep everybody happy. So I'll have those started by the next meeting.
1152 on the back page. Karen Tashik, I know the problem there, I know what's going on, I know everything it is. But we gotta do something.
We need to get rid of the abatement, go back to where it was.
We need to get her attention.
Well, they're,
I mean,
Pull the abatement.
September 31st is the deadline to tear that house down, isn't
September
it?
26th.
Okay. The township has ordered a demolition that had to be demolished by a certain date,
The
I saw.
demolition permit runs out September 26th.
and if it's not done by September 26th, what happens?
Then the police take action.
They
Who
finish
has
burning
the
it down,
demoli-
they tear it down.
Who
Well,
has
see,
the
the-
demolition permit?
Karen Tashik.
Oh, she took it out. She
No.
applied for it. Okay, I'm
Because of the
sorry.
house, the house that burned.
So if she doesn't do it, then you'll start
Well,
enforcement.
right,
And I
and
guess
the
if
enforcement, but-
you incur the cost, you'd lien it.
Yeah.
Then there'd be even more liens
Well,
against
yeah.
it.
And that's what we don't wanna do, cause you're not gonna get your money out.
We're not, that's where I'm going with this.
Well,
How
here's
we're
what will
gonna-
So that'll
happen,
have to be
Sam.
determined.
Is she supposed to be rebuilding? Is that
No
what-
plans,
Who
no
knows?
plans.
Well, your liens are in place, so there's two options, as there always are when we could sell it, okay, but it's gonna be a lot, right?
You
An
ain't
unimproved
gonna
lot.
get diddly squat for it.
Or wait until something happens with it. She can't convey good title with your liens on. If somebody takes out or tries to get a construction mortgage to build on it, they're gonna have to deal with the authority's liens. Because the bank will not they'll want first lien possession for a construction loan. So you would get paid in connection with that kind of a process.
All right. So you're saying September 27th?
It's the day after our meeting, yes.
I think it needs to be discussed next month as a top priority, because you'll know what to do by then, Sam.
Yep.
I hate to wait a month, but
How big
We
is that
have to.
lot?
Yeah.
It's very small.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
It's
very
not
small.
small, it's not big at all, it's probably just about big enough to put a house on it with a yard probably, what, 10 feet around each side. Probably just
It'd be a non-conforming lot
it,
now.
well, I think,
Yeah, it's small.
well, it is small, but I think it probably had to, just barely got within the setbacks, the side, front and back. You know, and that's just about all it is, it's not,
Well, that was before setbacks.
and you almost got built two-story, 'cause I don't think you can put a modular in there, fit in there long-wise.
Well, it doesn't sound like it's gonna bring much sale percentage.
Well-
Does it have any usefulness to the community?
And it's very hard to access. I mean, that's another drawback on it.
Another concern I have on the delinquencies, 1055. That's, if I'm not mistaken, that will be the estate
Estate
of.
of, yes.
So I'd be curious
Where?
to see where that's gonna go.
oh.
Yeah, I'll check that for you. I did see an obituary. I
Yes,
think.
yes, there's, that's probably gonna,
And 1113 has hung on there for as long as I can ever remember, and it just keeps growing.
Let me check that one. See if he's on my,
I mean, these things are starting to add up faster. I mean, even the lower rates and the lower amounts of money, I mean, it's not going away. It's, some of it's almost, the amount of them's almost deliberate. I mean,
Well, like I say, there's only 6 people here, you're $31,000. That's, you know.
That's
Has
half the total.
anybody talked to the?
and when one of them got revenue coming in, there should be money to pay the bills.
Talk to Daimler.
Yeah, I mean, because that's odd. I mean, that was kept under reasonably good control for years.
Well, but then he sold it or gave it to his children.
Water went up,
The father is out of it.
3,000.
And that's part of the problem.
But we had issues back then too.
Yeah, but they usually, if a little heat was supplied, it got paid. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Let's see, where are we at here?
Oh, the next thing is the invoices. $57,855.
I have a question on the very last item there, the engineering fees.
Yep.
How much of that amount is reimbursable?
You'd have to pull out his bill, his, yeah.
Very little of it, because most of that goes from the bridge and the other one comes from the COVID.
What'd you say the bridge was?
Almost 7.
Yeah.
Between 7 and, you got 7 there and over 2 down at the COVID.
It was 6
So
for,
you've got 9 of it right there. All the
Yeah.
other stuff is small details.
his would be, one of the very last ones with the paper clips on.
Engineering fees in that bridge, whenever he's
keep
not
go-
gonna engineer the bridge.
And you can see by, if you look down at the description on the stub.
I'm starting to see this transition things became very expensive to us at our cost, not theirs. Due to the loss of one and a takeover of another one and recreating the wheel and doing this and doing that. There's some redundancy here. It came back into it. And I don't know how much longer that's going to go, but I'm a little bit concerned about it. And I think maybe come the beginning of the year or towards the end of the year, we need to go out and put some prices out. And we need to be honest with ourselves.
Starting to get taken for a ride.
This is not the first time with an engineering firm, any firm, once this happens. It happens, and most of the time you don't see it, and you don't realize it, but it needs to be tightened up. So I think towards the end of the year here, we need to come up with a
Put bids out.
put bids out.
Our reorganization meeting coming up, we do it for there. I'd do it prior to that.
Yeah, I'd start sending them out in November. Get them back in. A reorganization is February. You could have them in by the beginning of the year, or December. I mean, the holiday season has a tendency people might not come up with a better number, but give them plenty of time. Tell them what we're going to be doing.
I'll answer my own question there then. $232.05 of that amount is reimbursable.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion, the orders be drawn and the bills be paid.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. What we had, JOAC meeting?
No, financial report.
Oh, financial report.
Well, I'll just ask you if you have any questions. The total expense for the Market Street Bridge to date is $8,775. I'm getting that from the bottom right-hand corner of the back page. $18,000 in your Sunshine Hill water system upgrade, $2,000 for the odor control building, $7,700 for the northern extension, which would be the Decoven. We will be getting billed, obviously, for the Market Street project, and we still never got a bill for the first phase. although there won't be much of that. Go ahead.
Looking right above that at the escrow amounts,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't that second escrow amount need to be bumped up?
Morrison's?
Yeah.
I don't know what you mean bumped up.
Isn't that supposed to be 2,500?
No. It's once it, your rules and regs, or your rate schedule says once it gets below 250, then it has to be brought up to 2,500. But it has to fall to a certain level first.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
It's 250 or 500, I forget which.
Okay. So we don't wanna let that
No.
slip.
And Stanley just wants to keep it held.
It's all right, we can do that. I'll
He's
make a
got
motion.
something else going on probably.
Well, he just said someday I might use it, so you might as well hold on to it.
I'll make a motion that we accept the August 2013 financial report subject to audit.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
And
All right.
on the financial report, next month, we're out from under that $8,800.
Huh? We've been out,
We've
we've
been
been
out of that.
out of that.
Where have I been?
for a whole year.
Where have I been? I don't think I've been paying that for a year.
If you look on the back page, Sam, if you look here in the middle where it says revenue summary, monthly transfer to capital reserve, we've already put
That's it?
70,000 in this month, or this this date,
All right.
to date, however you want to say it.
Did you just have a birthday or something?
Yeah, well, you know what I can say. I think I've been sitting too close to the machines.
All right, where were we at? Now we're at JOAC meeting. Oh, Secretary Board report, Executive Secretary report.
Oh, and she just wanted to point out that she had, there's, somebody came in who's going to be building on Eisenhower Boulevard and wanted the water connection permit application, and we don't have any, we couldn't find any on file, so she copied one from back whenever Sunshine Hill was being used, and,
In Petersburg.
or Petersburg, okay.
Yeah.
She just found somebody's and waited it out and went from there.
All right, JOAC meeting. I'll be able to make that, and then there's, how many other? Okay, we'll have
I'll try to
two,
make
you, three?
I'll try to make
If there's nothing important going on, Elmer, let me know. I might miss it, but if there's something important, I can make it. It's not an issue,
Yeah, I don't,
okay?
are we scheduled to vote on any, the project that's been completed down there? The
See,
money?
Jim, what you've been missing?
Love it.
The money?
JOEC's
You don't
different
think
than
they'll be
when you
ready
used
for
to
that
be on
yet?
it.
Oh, was that right?
A lot easier to get along
Could
with.
possibly be, I don't know.
Half hour, it's over
Yeah,
with.
there's,
I don't know.
they work very well
But-
together.
Good.
If he's gonna give us any information, we gotta get that squared away.
Okay.
Or do we?
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, if his information comes up, well, then so be it.
I'll send you an email, whatever I find out from, Brandy. Whether we'll need any, looks like we're gonna have a good number there anyway, so, all right. Correspondence, I guess somebody's got that somewhere.
Somebody start signing checks here.
Somebody, checks, what, okay.
Bring your stamp.
Yeah, I've already looked at them.
I didn't bring it.
Very cool.
It is.
All right, old
Oh, but
business.
you have his.
I want to install lateral at Railroad Street. What's
Table that one, that's so we don't forget it.
Table.
I already ordered the pump.
Pump, done.
We already spoke about the COVID,
The code, done.
mandatory water ordinance. That
We
was
already
Dennis
talked
just
about
said.
that, done.
Right.
Morrison headquarters, done. MPDES permits, what's that all about?
Mr.
That's-
Chisholm
that's a
is-
reminder.
That's table that one. too.
Oh, I know, okay.
All right.
Sunshine
Just-
Hills Water Company project, we beat that to death, didn't we?
Yep.
Stoneville Estates, done?
Question on that.
Yeah.
You said about walking that project. Would we want to do that like before JOAC, or it's still light at 7 o'clock? Do that after JOAC meeting Monday night? Now you have other business Monday night too, but, so it'd have to be before. I know you had said about walking the project.
It's 2,000 feet. And
Lot
you
of-
better bring your hiking boots.
A lot of ticks and jiggers. Yeah, I don't know, we could do that, really.
You slip and fall and hurt your back, we'll have to hold you out of the structure. We'll do sticks together and tie you tight to it and drag you out.
What was that, Ed?
I didn't say anything.
Oh.
Easier to hunt in the daylight.
Oh.
No, he didn't say that.
I mean, you don't have to, but you
We
had
can talk.
mentioned
Yeah,
that.
let's talk about it.
Okay.
All right. CDBG funding update. We don't-
The new date is September the
Week
16th?
16th.
Yeah.
September 16th at 3 o'clock.
Okay. At 3, yeah, I have that down.
And the advertisement was changed. Duncannon Records said there'd be no problem in changing it. So that's now an advertised meeting.
Did they give us any indication of what this meeting is gonna be?
Oh, it's hard to say. Maybe you're gonna start filling out the application.
Okay. And who's gonna be here though?
Well, it's the lady that,
Amy-
Amy Davis,
Amy?
I think, is the one been calling,
Amy's coming, huh?
I believe Amy,
Amy and Jamie, I
Yeah.
remember Jamie.
one of the ladies has been contacting Karen. So,
Well, it's
and asked to
probably
have it
Amy now.
changed.
They said Amy.
Jim, you might wanna come to that one. That's gonna be at 3 o'clock.
CDB, on
That's to
16th.
get the $500,000 from the,
This is for the water system.
to update the water system.
Is that gonna be held here?
Yes.
Okay.
Gonna be in this room?
No, she got room 4,
All right. room 4.
which is next door.
All right. Yeah, I'll be able to make that one too. All right, we have anything else for the good of the, is that Cece?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Susan, we're talking about delinquent payments and things, and I don't know if they pay reservation of capacity or not. Dino's.
Dino's paid their tap fee. Years and years when it first went through, if that's your question. They paid a tapping fee back in 2004 before the system went through.
Okay, so they're in good standing with us?
Oh, yeah.
And he pays reservation capacity every year.
No,
No?
because it was
Dennis
Dennis had said once that if you bought it, you have reservation of capacity.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, because I noticed that
He
it's
was
up for
paid,
tax sale,
he,
so.
oh, okay. I didn't see that. All right.
Well, you're not gonna
Notices
see it
are
in front,
posted.
you'll see it in the back road, you won't see it in front, somebody tore it down in front.
Oh, did they take it down? Okay, because
Okay.
it was up
That
and
is
it's
the way
on a
it
tree in
happened.
the back.
All right. Yeah, he paid it twice. Irene had charged him again a couple years ago, and then we discovered it when you paid for that auditing company. We discovered they had paid twice, so we refunded his money.
All right, thank you. That was my concern.
And also the Sitco station.
Yeah, same owner.
Well, he pays $60 a month for that.
Okay, as long as it's not in arrears, that's fine by me. Good.
One just quick point of clarification. I've heard, tonight we were talking about, I think Stone Mill, but a couple times Fishing Creek, the name Fishing Creek was used, and then Warden was used. That's all the
It's all
Stone
same
Mill.
place,
Okay.
yeah.
The same.
On the Citgo, he's been notified that the responsibility of the grinder pump's been transferred to him.
I thought Karen sent letters to all of the business owners. Okay, that was a year or so ago, and I will double check, but I'm almost
That's a
positive.
good call, I don't know whether that was done or not.
Because I can guarantee
No,
it's
she-
gonna malfunction when they go to use it.
No, because
There's
she
been
did.
no power to it.
We know she sent them out to the other businesses, so there's no reason why she wouldn't have sent one to this one. Unless I didn't tell her that, because it's not a business.
Right. That's what I'm thinking, you know.
Okay, well, we'll make
Yeah.
sure.
She may have sent them
Do
to the
that,
ones that
so
we,
that
that
if
we
they do
read
go
the
to
meters on and
bring
it
it
did not
online,
get
they
that
understand it's their
So
problem.
if it wasn't done, it will be sent out.
So that's the reason we never took the dang thing out, is because he's still paying?
He's
for
paying the
that?
bill, we have no right to take it
No,
out.
I know they will, okay.
Susan, I researched back and find out when it was that we decided to ask Karen to do this now.
Elmer Sam and I
that
were
we
trying to
decided
maintain
to give that responsibility
operating it
over to
manually.
the, so he doesn't
Found
think
out
it's
that
something that
we
just
lost the
happened.
ability
It's
to
hanging on the
operate
bulletin
manually
board,
because
Okay.
of
the letter.
power coming out of the building.
And then you wanna do an executive session.
Oh, yeah.
But I think you
Before,
could,
before we go into
you could just adjourn the meeting with the announcement that you're gonna have an executive session to discuss a legal
Well,
matter.
before we do that, I got a note here from Helen. Said Vicky Seeger, she gave us a phone number. Said she wants a letter of release of a lien. No address, nothing on it. Do you know of any Vicky Seeger that we have a lien on? And no
When did Helen give you that?
Huh?
When did you get that?
I did this afternoon, the same
How
time as I
about-
got the melon.
How about you just put that in your folder? That's taken care of. Vicky Seeger just bought a property at Petersburg Lane.
All right, but it has been addressed. That's what I'm asking.
Let me have it. I don't know.
That name sounds familiar.
No, I
No,
think she's
it's-
just a buy-in.
She's buying one of the properties at Petersburg
Oh.
Lane, and Karen has been in contact with the realtor.
All right, about getting the
She wanted it released today. Something on Friday, and Karen said, I can't do it today, I'm leaving early, tomorrow I'm off. If I send you all the paperwork showing that I intend to do
Right.
this,
That's-
it's somebody I haven't,
Usually
no,
good enough.
no, I'm sorry, that was for Post. This is for, she's buying Eldesaki's place,
All right.
okay?
Oh, yeah, good, yeah.
So it was taken care of, Sam, okay?
Okay.
All right, are we ready for a?
You're gonna- Motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Have a second? Have a motion to adjourn, second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nobody's opposed.